Okay. So in your professional opinion, do you think that battered woman syndrome should be admissible in court as a valid defense? There's been many cases where a woman has killed her husband in her husband's sleep and said that it was due to this battered woman syndrome, but the controversy is that true self-defense? So what is your opinion?
I think it's a valid defense in some circumstances, and the reason I say that is because I can give some examples of some high-profile cases where I think there was an absolute abuse of the system. Just recently, within the past year, I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but there's the Jodi Arias trial, where a woman was accused of killing her former boyfriend, and she claimed the battered wife syndrome being the girlfriend, and that was the reason that she went across multiple states and got him in bed and then killed him as he was in the shower. Now, you had an expert in that case who testified on battered women's syndrome and said it was a clear example of being battered women's syndrome, and obviously the jury did not buy it because the argument was so weak. So is there abuse in using that defense? Yes. But I also see from my countless amount of domestic violence calls that I've gone to where people are just programmed through the control of someone having dominance over them, and I can see someone snapping to defend themselves. So is there a clear-cut answer on battered women's syndrome? No, but I feel comfortable saying there's abuse in the system, but I can also see through my own personal experience how people have been controlled by others and how they can snap through that constant years of abuse.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question we're going to ask is, there are many controversies regarding rape trauma syndrome. Do you feel like rape trauma syndrome, again, similar to battered woman syndrome, could be used as a valid defense? And specifically since it's not in the DSM-5.
Okay, well, I'll be using an example. I'll use the same argument again. It can be used as a valid defense, but also the abuse in the system as well. I'm going to give you another high-profile case as well, where this time it was accepted by the criminal justice system. Are you familiar with the case of Lorena Bobbitt? She was accused of cutting off the tip of the penis of her husband. Mm-hmm. Now, in that particular case, she was alleging that she was raped repeatedly and she was a victim of domestic violence and she just snapped. But in that scenario, he was asleep when she did it. Is she really in danger at that point? So you have two different scenarios where people use the defense of mental health and they snapped and did what they did. In one scenario, the courts didn't recognize it. In the other scenario, the justice system did recognize it. And again, just as in domestic violence, and I've seen countless cases of rape. In fact, as a police officer, that was my specialty. I specialized in the investigation of rape, and I don't hesitate to say the devastation that's caused and the trauma and the emotional setback that victims are faced on each and every day and how they can react to it. I can certainly understand it, how they can use that as a defense. But just like with domestic violence, it can also be an excuse to get away with something.
Okay, thank you. What was the other question?
So a lot of people, even though they say that it's beginning to be a more weak defense, do you think that juries have an input in that? So some juries may sympathize with the victim and still lean towards her way, even though experts are saying it could be a weak defense. Do you think that's true?
Well, juries sometimes will disregard the testimony of expert witnesses because you think of yourself being on a jury. You have prosecution presenting an expert witness on a case to enhance their point of view. And they're saying this is this, and this, and I'm an expert, and this is why this person's guilty. And then you're going to have the defense bring another expert in who's supposed to be an expert, the qualifications is just as outstanding as the prosecution, saying, no, this person should not be held accountable. So when you talk about expert testimony, I can see how juries can just disregard what experts have to say when it comes to the mental health of people because you have conflicting opinions from two different sides, both indicating both indicating to be experts in the field, and have two contrasting opinions. So how much validity can you have in the expert's opinion?
Thanks.
Thank you.